All right, Shalom Israel. First and foremost, as always, I would like to give all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakaha Kwadash. Salutations to the Lord's elect on the four corners of the earth, pushing His truth and sincerity while patiently waiting for Yahweh Shai's return. And double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, which have taught us everything we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. And welcome to another series of GMS on the Job, being brought to you by the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. Once again, I'm at the plantation, busting my ass, blood, sweat, and tears just to make ends meet. But while I'm doing the physical work, I am also doing the spiritual work by providing edification in the form of a gourmet meal that the Lord's elect, the Lord's precious sheep, may be filled. So I wanted to do a response video to a video that was done by the beloved brother Chazak from the Missouri camp. The Great Millstone, Missouri camp. As you see right here, his YouTube channel is Yahweh Shai is coming back. I wanted to do a response. In this video, he talks about how the Lord is going to raise up his elect man with spiritual power, and part of the reason why the Lord is going to give his elect man spiritual power is because these Edomites, and when I say the Edomites, I'm talking about the so-called white man. The so-called white men are the biblical Edomites, and the so-called elites, who are predominantly Edomites. Okay, they are getting ready to come down with great wrath, because they know they have but a short time to rule. Okay, and that's in Revelation 12 verse 12. Now when you go to 2nd Esdras, the 16th chapter and the 70th verse on down, okay, it speaks about how the wrath of a great multitude has been kindled over our nation. Okay, because a lot of this anger, a lot of this hate, a lot of this animosity, which the Edomites have toward our people, okay, it all stems back to the book of Genesis, which the word Genesis, when you look it up, means beginning. Okay, because in the book of Genesis, when you go back to the beginning, right, one of the first things you learn is that Esau, Esau, who is the progenitor of the so-called white race today, okay, Esau lost his birthright to Jacob. And not only did Esau lose his birthright to Jacob, he also lost his blessing to Jacob. Okay, Jacob supplanted him 2 times. First time Esau got supplanted, it was out of his birthright, which when Esau came back from the field in Genesis the 25th chapter, okay, Esau was faint. He believed that he was going to die because he was starving. You know how weak crackers are. But Esau thought he was going to die and shit. So he told Jacob, feed me, I prayed you with that same red pottage. So Jacob agreed to give him pottage and lentils, right? However, Jacob basically, he made Esau make a deal with him. If you want this red meat, if you want these lentils, sell me this day thy birthright. And Esau, he basically looked down on his birthright. It tells you that in Genesis the 25th chapter, okay? And Esau basically said, behold, what good shall this birthright do to me? So Esau basically said, fuck it, I want a piece of bloody steak and some lentils. So, Jacob was like, Jacob basically said to Esau, swear to me this day. So Esau swore to Jacob, right? And then Jacob sought pottage and lentils and gave it to Esau, and Esau did get up and eat. And then he went his way. And then it tells you that Esau despised his birthright. When you go into that word despise, it goes back to the Latin word despisere, which is the compound word. Okay, when you break down that word despisere, D means down or down from, and then you got the word spicere, which means to look. So the word despise literally means to look down on. So Esau looked down on his birthright. He did not see it as something that was precious, important, something that was beautiful. He didn't see it that way, So, it was a light thing to him to give away his birthright to Jacob over some bloody meat and some lentils. Okay. And then when you go to the book of Genesis, okay, Jacob was basically told by his mother Rebecca to, disguise that, put on some goat hair and, and basically make venison. She was going to make some venison for Isaac, so Jacob could basically get Esau's blessing. So Jacob ended up getting Esau's blessing and his birthright. So then you understand that when you read Genesis, the 27th chapter, okay, you understand that that basically Esau cried. Okay, he lifted up his voice and wept when he found out that he lost his birthright and his blessing. Have you not one blessing? That basically Esau was begging his father for a blessing, and Isaac, Isaac basically gave Esau the lesser blessing, which is what? He will have the fatness of the earth, and by his sword would he live. And then it tells you that that Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his mind, the days of mourning for his father is at hand, then will he slay his brother Jacob. Slay as in murder. He intended to murder his brother Jacob because of the blessing. So we're living in a time where basically Esau, who wants to slay us, has complete rule, control, and power over us because the Lord gave him that. Okay, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. When you read Daniel chapter 4 verse 17, okay, Yahweh set up kingdoms and he take them down. Okay, for this decree is by the manner of the watchman, that the living may know that the Lord ruleth in the kingdom of men, and setteth up over it whomsoever he will. And he setteth up over it the basis of men. That's the Edomites. Okay, they are the basis of men that the Holy Scriptures speak of. Okay, they are the basis of men. So the Lord gave these Edomites power and control over us. You see? And what these Edomites, okay, the so-called elites, what they plan on doing to our nation, it's going to be some terrifying and some nasty work. because they're gonna release their best robots. I ain't talking about just any old robot. I ain't talking about the robots that go around greeting people and saying hello. No, I'm talking about they're gonna be releasing killer robots on people, especially on our people. They're gonna be releasing murder bots, killer robots, okay, newly created beasts, okay. Esau, he's gonna go all out, man, and it's really gonna be the wrath of the Lord. But you know, it's also gonna be Esau's indignation, because that old hatred which they've had for a nation, it's still there, man. Okay, they never forgot about, you know, how their forefather Esau lost their blessing to our forefather Jacob. They did not forget about that, man. Okay, the Holy Scriptures tell you that Esau basically kept his anger forever, man. Esau kept his anger forever, man. Okay, he ain't letting shit go, man. Okay, so it's gonna get ugly, man. He gonna release all these newly created beasts, all these different species he developed in the lab and shit. All hideous, terrifying. They feed on human flesh. He gonna be releasing murder bots on people, on our people. He gonna be releasing murder bots, killer robots, slaughter bots. He going all out, man. Because he has a special type of hate for our nation of people, man. Which is why if you an Israelite, right, and you over here trying to be friends with these Edomites, you're a fool, man. Which the Israelites are the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Indians. But you see, Esau, he's gonna, I'm telling you, he's gonna lose it. Okay, in 2 Esdras 16, it tells you that they shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. Okay, they're literally gonna be like madmen, sparing none, man. They're not gonna spare our people. Okay, he gonna release the martial law troops on us, and guess what? These martial law troops, they're gonna have weapons that you thought only existed in movies. Okay, they're gonna shoot a nigga with one of them weapons, and that nigga is gonna go disappearing out of his clothes and shit. Yeah, I'm kind of cleaning up around here right now, so. But yeah, I can do that for you. Oh, these are women's shoes. Yeah. There's some men's mixed in too. I need those away. All right. Oh man. Yeah, man. But wait a minute. I just realized that there's women's shoes over here too. On the men's side. But yeah. Yeah, man. You know, he gonna release martial law on us. And martial law is pretty much just going to be given the green light to just to shoot and kill on sight, man. No questions asked. So, you know, our people, they don't know what's getting ready to happen to them. You know, Esau going to turn off the food supply. He's going to release all kind of deadly viruses and pathogens in the air. You know, he's going to release all kinds of deadly insects on people. He's gonna be using his drones on Jake neighborhoods. It's gonna turn into a complete bloodbath here in America. You see? So they're gonna be like madman sparing none, man. They're gonna let all the animals in the zoo out, you know. There's gonna be dangerous animals from zoos roaming the streets, killing people, eating people, feeding on human flesh. You see? So, you know, That's where divine intervention is going to have to come in, you know. And a matter of fact, it tells you in the book of Daniel, okay, I believe that's the book of Daniel, the 12th chapter and the first verse. And at that time shall Michael stand up, okay, the prince that standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time upon the face of the earth, such as since the earth was created. It's going to get so bad out here, man. It's going to be unlike a time that has never been before. So, you know, these devils are getting ready to lose their mind, man. Releasing all these dangerous experiments on people and, you know, cutting off food supply, cutting off the water supply, sending these robot dogs, killer robots, slaughter bots, martial law, starvation, drone missiles, deadly viruses, pathogens, diseases, you know, martial law troops, civil unrest, civil war, race wars, military with high-tech weapons, sound cannons, guns that shoot bullets that can follow around corners, track people down and put them to death, delete them. Yeah, man, it's gonna get terrible out here, man. Real terrible. So now you start to understand why the Lord is going to give his men spiritual power. You know, you might be in a situation where you know, Esau might be flying up in the air, and he might have you tied up somewhere. Then, you know, they might try to throw your ass out, not your ass. They might try to throw you out of they might try to throw you out of an airplane from 300 feet up in the sky. You know, then you might call on the Lord. The Lord might, you know, then the Lord give you the ability to fly. You know, you gain the strength to basically break the ropes that had you tied up, and basically, you know, you literally just start flying. The Lord could do that. You might be in your home. You might live on the 10th floor of a building. And martial law thinks they have you cornered, you know. They can see inside your home through your router, your modem, your phone. You know, that they have X-ray cameras that can see through walls and shit. Heartbeat sensors that can locate your exact location in there. Then they go in there looking for you, and Lord might give you the ability to fly out your window, you know. When you go into Isaiah, okay. When you go into the book of Isaiah, 7, I think that's Isaiah chapter 58, verse 19, right? It reads, so shall they fear the name of the Lord from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the Lord shall lift up a standard against him. Okay, check this out. When you go into that word standard, it goes back to the Hebrew word nawas, okay? And when you go into that word nawas, it literally, you know, when you go into the Hebrew word nawas, it literally means to take flight, to fly away, okay? To take flight, to fly away, to disappear, to vanish. You know, martial law might be scouting your home, you know, and you might be trapped inside. Then the Lord give you the ability to turn invisible. You know, here it is. You can see your arms, you can see the clothes you got on your body, you can see your legs, but guess what? They cannot see you. You know, they cannot see you. But you can see them, you can see yourself, but they cannot see you. You know, all of a sudden you just vanish right off their radar. See, the Lord is getting ready to work mighty works in these last days. You know, but it takes faith to believe in those things. You know, you got guys out there, you know, whenever we talk about these things, you know, They want to laugh. They want to mock. They want to scoff. You know, ha ha ha. You know, like you had this one dumbass bitch. I don't even want to mention her because she's not even important. You know, she's no more important than the shit that come out of a person's ass. But she was basically laughing after hearing that the angels look like so-called black men. You know. So, you know, and a lot of these women's in these last days, they're gonna get rejected, and they're gonna get ended up being left to die by the terrors which the Lord is gonna allow the so-called white men to bring on them. So they're not gonna have a hedge or a protection. Okay. So, yeah, you know, hey, these devils are getting ready to lose it, man. So, you know, if we're of the elect, right, we're going to need some kind of divine intervention. Because, I mean, Esau got robots that can shoot at 100% pinpoint accuracy without missing. Okay? They're real accurate with how they shoot. You know, you got robots that can climb trees, and you know, like what the fuck, robots that can do backflips off tables and land perfectly. You know, so yeah, man, we're gonna need some kind of divine intervention. Because Esau is getting ready to lose his mind, man. You know? You know? They got robots that know how to lock pick, break into people's homes, you know? Like literally sound like some shit straight up out of a horror sci-fi movie. You know? So yeah, man. We're gonna need divine intervention, brothers. And that divine intervention is gonna come in the form of spiritual power and many other type of miracles which the Lord is gonna show to his elect men. Especially the Lord's elect men that truly believe on him. Okay? So spiritual power, hey, the Lord is going to give his elect men spiritual power, you know? You know? So, hey, brothers, get ready to see, you know, wonderful things, man. And we can also say that the Lord is going to bestow spiritual power upon his elect men because it's written all throughout the Holy Scriptures. When you go to the book of Isaiah, the 40th chapter, okay? It says what? But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. You see? They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. That's spiritual power. Being able to fly. Being able to run and not get tired. You know? That's spiritual power, man. Being able to walk and not faint. Imagine walking for 30 miles and you're just not even close to tired. They shall walk and not faint. You know, especially, let's just say if you had to walk 10 miles. No food or water. It's been 3 days now. No food or water. But you still going strong. Not even close to tired. You have not even fainted. That's spiritual power, brothers. You know? You're not even close to fainting, you know? You don't even feel the fatigue or weakness from not having food in your body. Okay? This is what's coming to the Lord's elect, man. In Jeremiah 51, the 51st chapter, okay? What did the Lord say concerning his elect? Thou art my battle axe and weapons of war. For with thee will I break in pieces the nations, and with thee will I break in pieces kingdoms, and with thee will I break in pieces the horseman and his rider, and with thee will I break in pieces men and women, and with thee will I break in pieces the flock and the shepherd, you know? So imagine that, man. The Lord using you to destroy armies. This is what the Lord is going to give his elect men. You know. So we're definitely living in those times. So, you know, I just wanted to do a response to this video. With that, I'm going to say shalom. So on to the next one.